Though now, not only did they, as you know, of course, infamously canceled the Keystone Pipeline, green-lighted Nord Stream 2 for Russia and Putin, which of course fueled his war machine to go after Ukraine. He put a moratorium on federal production and exploration in federal lands here in the U.S., offshore as well, which has been a disaster for my state of Louisiana, a big energy state. Effectively turned off the spigots. But in order to meet our demand, we then had to go hat in hand to OPEC. We had to go beg, Saudi Arabia. We had to go and beg these other nations to help us supply our need. It's just unconscionable. And of course, the energy that's produced in those other countries is not anywhere near as clean and efficient as that which is produced here because of the way they do it. So, ironically, they did more damage to the climate.
What do you think the justification is for that? I mean, to cut off production but not cut off demand seems like a pretty counterproductive way, both to deal with the economy and with the environment, assuming that you buy the story that fossil fuel use per se is driving the crisis that we should all be attending to, which isn't something that I'm really on board with in any way at all. It seems pretty obvious, especially given what's been happening in Europe lately with regard to their energy crunch, that the policies that were pursued by the United States, especially with regards to fracking, turned out to be, fortuitously far-sighted. It made the United States energy independent, as you said, but while actually able to export, while simultaneously cutting carbon output, which is important to those people to whom it's important, but it's at least notable on every front. America was looking pretty good on the energy front, especially in contrast to Europe. And so what do you think the rationale is for simultaneously cutting production and making it extraordinarily difficult to provide abundant energy, while also pursuing a policy of going around the globe and asking for excess energy resources from producers who are not necessarily reliable, let's say like Venezuela, or desirable, and also who don't abide by the same standards of environmental purity that govern the situation in the United States? I don't understand how that policy can be constructed and pursued. What's the rationale for it? Is it that, we had a deputy prime minister in Canada who said famously something like, well, it's good that energy prices are much higher because when Canadians pay more at the pump, they're all reminded constantly of just how severe the environmental crisis is, and which I think is an utterly appalling way to behave. And I also think it's counterproductive on the environmental front because making people poor does not make the planet healthier. There's no evidence for that. So what do you think? Why do you think the Democrats pursued this policy?
This is an excellent question, Jordan, and I agree with you 100% on your position on this. And as we've discussed in the past, it's difficult to provide a rational explanation for it because there really is none. I don't think they apply rational thought to these decisions at all. To me, the best way I can explain it, and I get asked this same question all the time, certainly when I'm around in my district, the 4th Congressional District in Louisiana, go to town halls. We have lots of big open public events where everyone is welcomed and take questions from the audience. And this is always one of the most common questions. And my explanation, the answer that I've come up with is the best way I know to explain it. And that is that this is not a rational decision on the part of these folks. They regard the climate agenda as part of their religion. I don't know any other way to explain it. They pursue it with religious zeal. And they care not, apparently, what type of pain these policies inflict upon the people that they are supposed to be serving, because they're not serving the people, they're serving the planet. And they use this terminology now openly, as you know, to our great amazement and frustration. And it's as if, I'll put it in very parochial terms. When I'm in Louisiana, I try to explain to our folks that, listen, they have effectively replaced Father God with Mother Earth. I mean, not to oversimplify it, but that's the best way to. That's how I see it. And so they believe we owe fealty to Mother Earth, that we're created by the earth, they believe. And so we owe everything to the earth itself. And we have to serve that cause above all else, and it matters not who they harm.
The problem I have with that is that the policies themselves don't seem to result in the consequences that are hypothetically desired. Like, I've spent a lot of time looking over the environmental crisis literature. And one of the things that seemed to me, two things appeared to me to be quite obvious as a consequence of poring over it. And the first is, we don't have one environmental/economic crisis confronting us. We have many. And so, for example, Bjorn Lomborg and I wrote an article for The Telegraph last week, and I believe one of the things we pointed out in there, was that 23 million people a year around the world die from indoor air pollution, mostly from burning dung and wood. 23 million people, a huge number of people. And obviously that's polluting and it's not good for the environment. And to replace that with inexpensive, well, it would be fossil fuel replacement if it was replaced most efficiently, would save tens of millions of people and also be good for the planet. And that's completely off the agenda. No one pays any attention to that whatsoever, even though, like as I said, 20 million, the lives of 20 million people, a lot of them children, depend on it.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.